If there's anything I've learned, is that there are two types of creators in this world. Firstly, there's the type that chase followers and they think that just traffic alone is going to equal money, and they end up with broke fans. Then there's the type that builds for sales. They have an offer ready, they have an ideal client profile, and they turn followers into dollars. They're not chasing vanity metrics like the first type, they're actually going after paying clients. And this is where you go from building a fan base to building a loyal following that are actually gonna buy from you. The key here is using content as a platform for distribution. The Instagram funnel alone has generated millions of dollars for myself, my clients, and so many other people. Every single day, there is a new millionaire made from social media using a simple awareness, consideration, and purchase funnel using these platforms. But just raising awareness alone isn't enough. It takes understanding the individual platforms, understanding how they can serve you, and what content actually speaks to buyers, not just followers. And trust me, by the end of this, you're gonna see exactly why you wanna be type 2. Now, type 2 is the type that doesn't just build a following, they build loyal buyers. And when we really break it down, if we go back to Kevin Kelly's 1,000 true fans concept, you don't need hundreds of thousands of followers. When you're selling a high ticket product, you only need 10, 100, 1,000 loyal fans that are gonna buy from you, and that will generate significant life-changing income. The whole concept of Kevin Kelly's 1,000 true fans, or raving fans, is about building a fan base that will consistently buy from you again and again. This comes from a great product in your fulfillment, a strong sales team with the referrals, cross-sells, and upsells, and having a marketing and content creation strategy that speaks to the right audience. Today, we're gonna be breaking down the marketing, the fulfillment, and the sales, and exactly how they can serve you to build a proper lead list that turn into paying clients and not just fans who are followers. Before we jump in, I'll introduce myself. My name's Alfie, and in the last 24 months, I've gone from 0 followers and 0 income made online to generating over 7 million in sales. I've done this through creating a personal brand, documenting my own journey, starting off with 75 Day Hard, going into my fitness transformation that allowed me to make my first $1 million as a fitness coach, and now I've transitioned to help others do the same, and this is what will help me make my first 10 million. I'm doing this in real time, documenting the wins, the losses, everything that goes along with it. I have a lifetime return on ad spend of 14x, but this is significantly biased because the majority of my revenue comes through an organic following, which we're going to talk about building today. Now, this organic following gives me high levels of leverage where I can target back my existing audience, may that be with a paid channel or through organic, and turn those followers into paying customers. That is the concept that we're going to go through today, because something that I've seen a lot of are people that have large followings, but they don't have an audience that buys from them. There's a couple of different reasons why, and I'll get into that. But the biggest focus today is going to be for anyone who's starting a personal brand, already has a personal brand, how to build followers that are actually going to one day buy from you. At the end of the day, followers on a screen do not equal zeros in a bank account unless you have the right strategies and systems to make that happen. And honestly, the difference between me and 99% of the creators you have out there is not the content. It's the business and treating it like a business and using this platform as social media, may that be long form or short form, as a distribution for my business. It is a distribution network that I leverage to get paying clients. I don't see it as a personal Instagram. I don't use it to drive vanity metrics. All I really care about at the end of the day are leads, book calls, and how many convert into paying clients. And as a business owner, that is what you should care about. This is not here to stretch the ego or have a vanity metric of how many followers you have, although there are benefits to this in terms of network and access and some sort of social currency. But at the end of the day, it's about putting dollars in the bank account, reinvesting that in wherever you want to put that. Property, Bitcoin, whatever it is, it's about putting zeros in the bank account instead of just focusing on followers alone. Because followers alone won't take you traveling, won't allow you to buy property, won't let you retire your parents, won't let you take them on holiday as well. You need more than just followers alone. You need the ability to leverage that audience as distribution. And that's what we're going to go into today. Now, before I jump in, I have worked with hundreds of coaches, entrepreneurs, and creators. And something I've learned is that not all followers are made equal. Playing the algorithm for views at the expense of your buyer is one of the most damaging things you can do. Anyone can go viral running down the street with their pants on their head, but can anyone build a profitable business online with that audience? Probably not. Not unless they've reverse engineered exactly who they want to go after, their ICP, ideal client profile, and build a strategy to make content that actually speaks to them, their pain points, their ambitions, deepest desires, and goals. The clearer you can get on that ICP, the easier it is for the entire content strategy to work, because straight off the bat, you are speaking the same language and you are speaking to the problems that they are facing. I like to think of great copywriting as articulating back the pain points of that ideal client in their own words. The closer we can get to articulating it exactly how they would say it, the easier it is for us to make winning content. Now, playing the algorithm just for views at the expense of your buyer results in a couple things. You can get a big audience with loads of views, but no sales. This is what I call a dead audience. If I take an example, one of my good friends and housemates, Jake, we grew up in New Zealand together. He saw his social media success going from 5,000 to 250,000 followers from one reel. Straight away, he decided to launch a high-ticket coaching program. It was going to be strength and nutrition. He got started on building his app. I actually invested in the first $10,000 to make that happen. 6 months later, as anyone who's gone into app development knows, it takes longer than you think. He was stuck. He was stuck selling a product that no one wanted. Even though he had 300,000 followers, by the point of launch, he had no one who was willing to buy his product. He made maybe 10, 15 sales, and that was it. And he was stuck struggling to make rent despite having a huge audience and a massive distribution network. This was not a dead audience problem, but rather a dead offer. We sat down together, January 2024, and we redesigned his offer. Instead of serving up strength, nutrition, and mobility, we cut 90% of the offer and went mobility only. 15 minutes a day, a daily mobility challenge, which would soon become his highest grossing product. In the first month alone, he generated $60,000. He did this by going slightly lower ticket, higher scale, higher volume, and with a challenge. The challenge was a 30-day mobility, and it allowed people to buy in for what they actually followed him for. Until we ask our audience and understand why they follow us and what they want, we don't know what we're going to serve them. This is what happens when you have a large audience, but the offer isn't well fit to that audience. Now, it's slightly different if you don't have an audience yet. If you are starting out, you need to get very, very clear on who you are creating for. If Jake was starting again from scratch, he knows that he is creating for someone who is now sick of single body part style training, for someone who wakes up stiff, maybe they've had previous injuries, knees, hips, things are starting to go. Slightly older demographic. They're not young, highly flexible, energetic, haven't faced any of these problems that come. Someone that is focused on reversed aging, longevity, and vitality. We can then build content for this person and speak the language. Speak the language of waking up stiff in the morning and getting out of bed. Speak the language of wanting to reverse age. Speak the language of wanting to be able to bend over and pick up your kids. All of these things that they are feeling, their deepest desires, and the pain points they're struggling with today, we want to articulate back to them. Remember that it is better to have a niched, highly tailored audience than one that is broad, wide, and untailored. The reason being is that we can speak directly to that avatar every single time, and we get the ability to solve the same problems again and again. The riches are truly in the niches, and you need to niche down and determine who you target. There are going to be people that come on the side, but ultimately knowing who you target is incredibly, incredibly important. Part of my success and part of what I've realized makes the difference is that I treat this like a business. I'm not an influencer. I'm not here to stand by products. I want to create great businesses. And you need to have a business mindset when you approach your content, when you approach your audience, your marketing, sales, and fulfillment. You should be thinking about how you can scale. You should be thinking about how you can market and target a direct avatar. The sooner you make this adjustment, the easier it becomes to play in the field where lots of people are just doing this as a part-time hobby. They're just putting their hand up and they want to be followed for X, Y, or Z reason. I'm not here to be a model. I'm not here to stand by product. I want to build great businesses and I want to leverage the things that I'm doing online to get distribution for my product and services. There are 4 key principles that I'm going to take you through. Firstly, we're going to start with the product. In most cases, you don't find an audience and then make an offer, like Jake's case. You start with an offer and then you find your audience. Now, when you build your offer, you should be thinking about, is there a starving crowd for this? That is the ideal outcome, that there is a group of people that are starving. They're experiencing pain, they have purchasing power, and hopefully they're growing as a target audience. If you're playing in the health, in the wealth, or in the relationship markets, you're already off to a pretty good start, because there is enough pain, there's enough purchasing power, and in most cases these are growing as well for you to be able to service people within these markets with your service or product. The beautiful thing about a digital product is that you don't need to invest in inventory, in upfront costs, in shipping, or in a lot of setup or overheads. You don't need an office. You don't need any administration. You don't even need any full-time staff. Really, to get started, you need to conceptualize exactly what you want to teach. Normally, you have a valuable skill that you have acquired, and then you are going to go and teach someone else that skill by selling your time in a coaching dynamic. You can later turn this into an info product when you have solved that problem for the same avatar again and again, and you can take all of those learnings and package it in a more scalable solution. That could be pre-recorded modules and a community. The final stage is you could turn that into technology. If you truly believe there is a faster, more automated way to solve the same problem for that avatar using technology, I would encourage you to look into software investments. If I think about my own journey, I spent 10 years getting in great shape, so I acquired the skill of learning fitness, of learning training and nutrition. I then taught other people in a one-on-one coaching dynamic. I then moved that to a more scalable info product, which was the Pure Body Protocol. This created a community. It had pre-built resources, and I could also bring coaches in under me that didn't rely on me because I had leveraged my personal brand to create a real brand online. Lastly, if I wanted to, I could go to a tech-enabled solution. The same with Amplify. First, I started and built my own brand and built a successful 7-figure business. Then I taught others one-on-one. I took on 101 one-on-one clients. And then after that, I moved to an info product, which it is today, which is an online community, all the pre-recorded modules, and we have daily huddles with some of the top content coaches in the space. The final stage and what I am building now is a software app. It's an editing app that creates content based off your camera roll and based off high performing content that's already out there. So I'm taking the same problem and solving it once for myself, then individually for each client, then on a scale in Amplify today, and then finally with software. Same problem solved in different vehicles. This is what gives me leverage and allows me to buy back my time. In terms of determining your own product, I would be thinking about what skills you currently possess today. If there is not a skill that jumps to mind, what I would highly recommend doing is pick a high value skill and document the process of learning it. If you are already an authority in your space, it could be a decade of doing or learning the skill. If you have certification or if you have impact in your life or your clients' lives, then you have authority. Leverage that authority and that becomes a talking piece for your content. You have two paths, documentation or authority. To build a great product, you're going to define the dream outcome. Keep in mind that most dream outcomes go below the surface level of just wanting to make money. Why do people want to make money? Well, they want confidence, attraction, and status. Status is normally the highest adherence of a dream outcome for most buyers. Then you have the perceived likelihood of achievement. That is, how likely does the client think that they can achieve that dream outcome over the time delay it takes to get there and the effort and sacrifice it takes to get there. You want to maximize the top two and minimize the bottom two. Keep in mind that just waiting to monetize is like practicing the wrong sport. There's a very different game to building an audience and building a product with the idea to monetize and building an audience without the idea to monetize. Although we may not have the perfect product when we started, I've stumbled into the various things that I've ended up doing. You still want to get started with the end goal in mind to monetize the audience. You want to be thinking about how you can attract the right buyers and not just followers as a total to your account. Because ultimately at the end of the day, it's better to have less followers that you know are going to be buyers for your offer than a massive TAM, total accessible market, of people that aren't going to buy from you. I would much rather have a more niche, tailored audience than a wide, unniched, untailored audience that don't want to buy from me. And you'd be surprised. I've seen accounts with over 1 million followers making less than accounts with 5,000. The reason being is those 5,000 followers are highly engaged, highly niche, and highly tailored to the exact offer that they are selling. The second point is relatability. Relatability and proof are going to be the backbone of the majority of the reason why people convert into your offer. People will buy from you when they trust you. And the way we get them to trust you is through relatability and social proof. Social proof is have you taken people from a similar starting point as them and gotten them the dream outcome that they're looking for. The relatability will come from how much your prospective clients see themselves in your starting point. The proof is the evidence that you are who you say you are and that you can make it work for them as well. The mistake people often make is acting too perfect and it appears fake because there is no authenticity in what they do. Document the highs and the lows. You shouldn't be perfect. An example would be an overweight PT or a PT that has a cheat meal and documents the cheat meal. A PT that also likes chocolate or likes sweet treats. They're gonna do better than the PT that is highly strict and appeals to only someone that is going to be meticulous with their diet. This is why things like If It Fits Your Macros have performed so well, because ultimately it gives people the flexibility to still have a sweet treat and get that end result. You want to show that it is possible while still remaining human. If you sold someone on the idea that it's going to take decades to achieve the same look that you have, and the effort and sacrifice is going to be 7 days a week, not eating any of the foods they like, and it's hours and hours in the gym and hours of cardio that they hate, they're going to be far more likely to value that offer and to work with you as a client. You want to have a balance between making that dream outcome achievable, but also realistic. We don't want to overpromise and underdeliver when we sell anything. This is a really interesting example for my housemate Jake, who's highly flexible and can literally fold himself into almost like a pretzel. But one of the things Jake has to work on is because he is so flexible and so competent in his area of focus and such an authority, he needs to dial a lot of his things back and educate people about how when he started, he wasn't that flexible and he had to work on it as well to show people what is possible from that starting point. Many people would look at him and go, oh, well, I'm never going to be able to do that because he started and was already super flexible. Jake's job is to articulate and teach people that he wasn't always that flexible, that he worked on it. And just like training, it was a muscle that he could work on and develop over time. This is really, really important for someone like Jake, who is at the highest level of authority in his field. If he gets put too much in that bracket, people won't find him relatable, and as a result, they won't want to work with him as a client. The same happened in my own journey. People have watched me document my journey and seen how content has completely changed my life. Starting from being in a share house in Bondi, documenting my 75-day hard journey, people have watched as my life has completely transformed. Now I get to travel, I get to take my parents overseas. I've had all of these opportunities to stay in incredibly nice places because of what content has afforded. I did this for an entire year, building my fitness coaching business, getting our coaching business up in New York Times Square before I ever tried to sell back the things that I had achieved. This is an incredibly important piece that a lot of people miss. Make sure it's relatable. Make sure people can follow the story of how it happened and how you got there. And if you haven't been documenting the entire process up until now, make sure that you have something pinned on your profile, like a My Story post, that helps humanize you to your ideal client profile, that gives you and shares an perspective that makes you relatable and shares a perspective of where you started, the things you had to do to get there, and where you are today because of the work and the information that you'll share with them. The default cop-out for a lot of people is they look at PTs and they go, oh, I'm not gonna be like that because that PT's got all the time in the world to train. For a lot of PTs, that's not the case. They work long hours as well, they work on the gym floor, or they're stuck behind a laptop answering clients. For that reason, they should humanize that and make it relatable to people, particularly if their ICP work in an office job. They should be trying to relate as much as possible to the same person that's stuck behind a laptop at an office job in a corporate career. The relatability is one of the most important rules. Remember, if they can't see themselves in your past and see proof of how you got there and were successful, they won't buy from you. Number 3 is don't serve the algorithm at the expense of the buyer. The algorithm is not the customer. It's just your pathway to distribution. If you chase just what performs, you may end up with followers, but you won't end up with buyers. You need to create for the customer and not for the algorithm. There are plenty of examples for this, but inspirational cinematic videos will only get you so far. You need to prove that you can actually solve the problems that your audience are facing, particularly early on. I highly recommend that you remember when you start, no one will care. Because of that, give them a reason to care with your content. Create valuable content that solves the key pain points for your audience. I have so many examples of this. My Alfie Gets Hard account contributes significantly less lead volume than my Alfie the Creator account because Alfie the Creator addresses the exact target audience that we're going after and solves their problems. This was the same with Pure Body. My Train Pure Body account and Pure Body Eats delivered more lead flow because they were specific to the audience that we are building for, compared to Alfie Gets Hard, which is turned into a more lifestyle account. Lifestyle accounts will only get you so far, and particularly in the beginning, I do not recommend that you try and compete in the lifestyle space. The reason being is everyone can create lifestyle content, and some of the biggest celebrities in the world are creating lifestyle content, but they're not solving the specific pain points for your buyer every single day. If you can do that and create a valuable Instagram account that delivers value every single post, you're going to be a step ahead of the game. People should come there and be able to solve the majority of their problems and then pay you for the implementation and accountability in your offer. Information alone was the answer. We'd all be a billionaire with 6 packs. Fourth and final is to sell more. A lot of people are scared of selling and scared of creating offers online. If you don't have lead flow to your business, I highly recommend drumming up new offers. These could be lead magnets with the goal of building gap and intent with your audience. The gap is basically where they are today. People don't know what they don't know. Sometimes you need to tell them. The lead magnet's job should be educating them up until the point when they are ready to buy into a higher ticket program. The other side is building intent, so make sure your lead magnets are valuable. You will be judged on your free products. Drumming up new offers like this, particularly free ones or low ticket offers to get people in the door, is incredibly important. Once we have these, we should have a flywheel of offers being rotated with call to actions. These are the things that go in the bottom of your post, normally triggering a ManyChat automation which get people into your lead list. Your job should be generating as many leads as possible. If you are broke, if you have no leads, then you should be shameless. Call, text, email, follow up, do everything it takes to get those people on the phone. The reason being is that in the beginning phase, you are in this founder phase. You are wearing many hats in the business, and your highest revenue generating activity is getting more leads into the business. The way you do that is by calling, it's by emailing, it's by texting, it's by following up and chasing the leads that you have. If you don't have leads, generate leads with lead magnets, put more call to actions on your post, and teach people to interact with your post to get value from you. The Instagram funnel is so simple. You should have reels for reach, carousels to nurture your existing audience, and then stories to go back to your existing audience to get them to convert. Stories are the secret sauce in the Instagram funnel that deliver so much lead flow when used correctly. Make sure you have proper story sequences. These are documenting what you're doing in your life, making it highly relatable to people, having simple call to actions, and driving social proof. Remember, your stories are going to pop up in a sea of all their personal friends that they follow. They're not going to be following loads and loads of business coaches. So don't be scared to sell your stuff. Have call to actions and make it easy for people to reach out to you. Make sure there's one keyword in there. Pure body, amplify, brand, something they know they can simply write. Reduce the amount of friction and confusion on their end. Trust me, people are inherently lazy and we want to make it as simple as possible for them. The whole goal of the Instagram funnel is at the top layer through our reels, carousels, and stories is we provide value, we provide connection, and social proof. The Instagram bio and the pin posts are where we can drive traffic, and this is where we can start to convert some of the audience that we are building. The more DMs we can create, the more opportunities we have to understand our audience, have conversations, and book sales calls. The simple book a call funnel of going from Instagram into DM into book a call is one of the most underrated funnels out there. It's generated millions of dollars for myself and millions of dollars for my clients. The other side is we can go via a ManyChat automation. Inside this ManyChat automation, they would comment on a post and then we would send them the value. If you want to understand both these funnels in their entirety, I break them down in my coach's playbook. It's only $29 and it goes through everything I did to go from 0 to 50K a month as an online coach, both in the fitness and in the wealth space. The Instagram funnel is simple if you are attracting the right people to your content. Remember, you want to attract buyers and not fans. The 4 rules to get there are start with the product and build backwards on the ICP. That's your ideal client profile. Build through relatability and proof. Remember, the audience will only buy from you if they see themselves in the past you and they see the success in the present. Next, create for buyers, not the algorithm. Never create for the algorithm at the expense of buyers. And lastly, sell relentlessly. Be willing to put together more offers and get people in the door. The more leads you can generate, the more leads you can call, the more sales calls you will book. More sales calls you have, more deals you will close. It is a numbers game at the end of the day. Putting more deals on the table gives you a higher opportunity to close more cash flow every single month. If you want a step-by-step guide of exactly how I set up my coaching business across sales, marketing, and fulfillment, then click the link in the bio and you can access that today.